Hey everybody, I know it's been a little while since I shot my last video, but I have been partially designing a nice little video room that I can shoot in. Welcome to my humble abode here at the office. Recently, and this is what I want to talk about today, I had lunch with a couple of really great brokers, real estate brokers in my local market, which of course is the greater Baton Rouge area. And we had a chance to really talk about a lot of interesting things, tools that have helped us, techniques, strategies, systems. But also one question really came up that I found to be pretty interesting. If we had to do it all over again, what would we do differently? One of the questions and one of the thoughts was, well, if I had to start over from the beginning, not all the way, not the beginning of my career, but when I started needing leverage, when I started adding more people into my business, would it have been better for me to build a real estate team or to start a brokerage, start a real estate company? So two really interesting options, both are valid, and that's what I want to talk about today. Real estate teams versus real estate brokerages. So the topic that we're talking about today, real estate teams versus brokerages, really apply to agents who have seen some success in this business. If you're now at a level where you're closing 30, 40, 50 or more deals, you might need some help. So two options are going with the real estate brokerage, starting a company, or building a real estate team. Before we get into the discussion, I just want to say if you're at that level, congratulations. Round of applause for you. It's really hard to get to that place. A lot of agents would love to be where you are. And so kudos to you. But now let's talk about the question at hand. So what's the difference between starting a brokerage or starting a team? Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of a real estate team. One of the main pros with starting a real estate team is the level of control that you have over the product, right? And what is your product? Your product is essentially the service that you're giving to your clients. When you're a broker, you don't have as much control. In fact, there are certain rules and even laws in place to protect independent contractors. And that's typically what you're working with as a broker. When you have a real estate team, you can actually work with employees. You can hire someone, pay them by the hour, and tell them exactly what to do and how to do it. Your first hire when you're starting a team typically is going to be some administrative help, an assistant, if you will. You're going to be able to control exactly how that assistant answers the phone. And I guess you could do that with a brokerage as well. The difference here is that with the brokerage, it's not such an in-depth experience with the client. Because if you have someone who is an administrative assistant at a brokerage, they might answer the initial call, but pretty soon that person is going to speak with an agent and it's gone from there. So there's only so much that an administrative assistant can help with as far as the contact with the client. On the other hand, when you have a team, the client may be working with that administrative assistant throughout the entire process. You have a high degree of control over the experience that the customer gets. In addition, the team members that you hire are also going to be doing things your way. Another aspect of having a team is that essentially every one of the clients who you're working with is your client directly. You're going to be more involved in each one of the transactions, typically. Now, again, you can run a team however you want to run a team. But with a brokerage, yeah, technically in a legal sense, every single client is a client of the broker, legally. But they may never meet the broker, see the broker, speak to the broker. They don't even know who the broker is half the time. A team, on the other hand, typically functions with a team leader. And each client knows who that team leader is. They're probably interacting with that team leader on some level. You're probably not going to take them out on showings. You're probably not going to be doing their paperwork. But you probably are going to be involved in the consultation process. You might be at the closing table. So there are going to be some points where you touch that client. Why? Because they're essentially your client. They're the client of your brand. Whereas a brokerage is really made up of a bunch of separate brands. Each agent has their own brand, whereas each agent on a team really works with the same brand. So they have the same processes, the same way of doing business. Whereas with a brokerage, each agent is very independent. They might all do business very differently. So you have a higher degree of control. If you're someone who says, look, I like to have this process. I think that my processes are stellar. I think they're the most important part of my business. Well, then maybe the team is the way to go because you have a higher level of control. You have a higher degree of intimacy with the client. You're actually meeting them. So having a team really puts you in closer contact with your clients. Now, here's another big advantage to the team model. With the team model, typically your split is going to be much higher. When you hire someone as a broker, essentially they're doing the entire job. They're an independent contractor, and usually they're going to have a pretty good split. You got to pay them a good amount, otherwise they'll go to another broker. Because a team is structured differently, and essentially what you're doing is you're providing the business for your team. You are the main source of income for that team. Meaning they're not going to have deals if not for you, right? Or they would have far fewer deals if not for you. The split that you can have with a team member is far greater to your own benefit. So for example, if I have a buyer's agent and I am the source of business for that agent, meaning if they left me, they would not have these clients. What I can do is say, well, look, I'm giving you 50 clients this year. You're going to have to give me half of the commission that you earn. So I'm going to take a 50% commission. Now, keep in mind, I'm still going to have to split that with my brokerage, right? Unless I am the broker as well. Now, you can do both too. You can be the broker and have a team. But I'm still going to have to split that with my brokerage. But again, the broker is going to take a smaller percent. I can take a much bigger chunk, meaning I can make a lot more money per deal by having a team. But that also brings us to another point. I need to generate the business. So it's not necessarily the agents who are going out there and generating the business. If they could do that, they probably wouldn't need to be on my team. They could probably just do that for themselves and not pay me 50% of their money. I'm going to have to supply leads and business for my team, probably through paid marketing, probably through a lot of prospecting. So if your talent lies in getting business, again, a team might be a great option for you. Now, here's the last point that I want to make about real estate teams. A real estate team is essentially an extension of your own real estate business. So the business that you've built up to this point is not changing that much. What you're really doing is simply adding pieces. Before, you were the paperwork person, you were the showings person,
you were the buyer's agent, and you were the listing agent, etc. You were the one who brought the keys from the house to the closing and put the sign in the yard.
What you're doing is you're divvying up the work. But the business itself isn't really changing that much. You're just assigning roles to different people. One of the advantages to the team model is that you're essentially not having to shift too much. It's not a major shift in what you're doing. You're continuing to do what you're already doing. So if you've got a booming business, you're just continuing to work on that same booming business. You're not changing the model. Your clients are still the same. You're still going for your buyers. You're still looking for sellers. You're looking for investors. You're looking for the end consumer. And you're bringing that into the team and letting the team do the work that you were already doing. So you're already equipped to train the team how to do that. Now let's talk about the brokerage model. Hey everybody, just a quick moment to mention if you are enjoying the video, if you feel like you're getting some benefit from it, like and subscribe to the channel, please. Also, be sure to mention how much they've helped because I want other people to watch these videos as well and benefit and also sign up for the free coaching as well. So back to the action. So with the brokerage model, things are a little bit different because you're more so shifting gears. It's not just a continuation of your business. What you're actually doing is starting a new business and you have a new clientele. Your clientele now is real estate agents. So you're not necessarily looking for buyers, sellers, and investors like you would be doing as an agent. Hear me out. You can still practice real estate as a broker, but what you're doing now is two jobs. So you're not looking for clients as a real estate broker. You're looking for clients as an agent, as a producer, right? That's what you were already doing. Now the broker role is adding new tasks and new responsibilities. When you have a team, there are some new tasks because you do have to hold your team members accountable. But again, the business is pretty much the same. As a broker, though, your clientele is now the agent, not the end consumer. If you're really trying to grow the brokerage as a company, because that's what you're doing now, you're a broker, you're trying to grow a brokerage, what you're doing is you're looking for real estate agents. Those agents each have their own way of doing business. Typically, they're independent contractors. Now, there are some brokerage models that actually hire agents and pay them a salary, but that's not typical. So I'm not going to talk about that because that's maybe 1% of brokerages. Most brokerages are going to essentially hire independent contractors who function as their own business. So if you have 10 agents, what you have is 10 separate businesses, each doing things their own way. Now, of course, you can provide training to those agents, and you should as a broker. You can provide tools for those agents to use, but you're not exactly going to be able to force them to do things your way. There is some leeway there, and there is some independence there. It's their business. That's one of the main differences between being a broker and being a team leader. Let's talk about compensation again really quickly. So, being a broker, again, your compensation is typically going to be a smaller split per deal. So it almost seems like you're getting a raw deal. Like, why would I want to be a broker if I'm only getting a little money per deal? If I could be a team leader and get a lot of money per deal. Well, here's the benefit of being a broker. The benefit of being a broker is because you're not providing the leads necessarily to the agents. You're not the one bringing in the business. Right? You might be training agents how to bring in business, and you might be providing a little business for them, but essentially they're bringing their own business to the table, and you're taking a smaller piece of that. Well, here's the benefit to that is that essentially you can have as many agents as you want, as many as you can manage, and what your real responsibilities are is overseeing their deals, making sure that they're not breaking the laws, making sure that their paperwork's in compliance, providing training, providing tools. But essentially, you can grow pretty quickly. You can have 50 agents, and it's not that different from having, say, 25 or 30 agents. Whereas if I'm a team leader, I can't necessarily grow from 25 to 50 as quickly. Why? Because I'm the one who has to provide most of that money, most of that business. So if I'm not providing enough business for 50 people, my team's going to stop at 25. That's it. Until I can produce more, or until the team as a whole can produce more and enough to satisfy more people, more agents, right? There's more mouths to feed. Now, here's one of the downsides of being a broker. Someone might take the training, take your tools, and decide, you know what? I don't need you anymore. I know how to generate business. I'm generating my own business. You're not the one providing me business. All you're doing is providing a platform, and you know what? There's a better platform for me over here. Or I can make my own platform, and now I'm going to get a broker's license and strike out on my own. Suppose that you are a broker and you're running a brokerage and you've got a really great producer, someone who's producing $20 million of real estate. They're selling $20 million of real estate a year. They leave. Well, how do you replace them? You can't. Unless you find someone else producing that same amount. Because if you go and try to hire a new agent, someone who's never done it before, are they going to be a $20 million producer? It's probably going to take some time if they ever get to that point. And again, there's a good chance they might never get to that point because that's a hard place to get to, as we talked about earlier. So you've just lost $20 million of production with no way to replace that. Whereas on a team, if you lose one of your agents, remember, they're working your systems and your clients. So it's a little bit easier to replace someone else, to replace the actual individual. Now, that's not to say that there aren't team members who are valuable and hard to replace. But again, if a buyer's agent is following processes and they're working my clients, all I need to do is find someone else who can follow the same processes. They don't necessarily have to bring any money to the table. They just need to be able to follow instructions and really provide the service that I'm creating. That's one of the main differences with being a broker or being a team leader. So again, let's just recap. As a team leader, you're the one providing business. It's a little easier to replace losses if someone leaves. You have a lot more control and you're getting a bigger split. You cannot grow as quickly, and potentially you may never be able to grow as big as a brokerage can grow. With the brokerage, you're taking a little bit of a smaller split. Your job changes into more of a training role rather than a directing role. You're letting people do what they're going to do. It's a little harder to replace a big producer as a brokerage, but the ability to grow by leaps and bounds is always there for you. You can become a nationwide brand as a broker. Those are some of the ins and outs of brokerages versus teams. If you are a top producing agent and you want to continue to work on the business that you've built, then maybe a team leader is the way you should go. On the other hand, if you are a person who is great with building a platform and great with recruiting agents, recruiting top producing agents to work with you, then maybe the brokerage is the direction you want to go in. No matter what you choose and no matter what you do, and you may stay a solo agent and just hire a couple of administrative assistants, and I've seen agents do that too. But no matter what you do, again, kudos to you, congratulations, you've already made it. And that's what matters. So everything else is just an adventure, so enjoy.